Hello, everyone. Very welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host, Khanna, and today I'm joined by Lloyd Major, CEO and founder of Halo Solutions. Halo Solutions makes life-saving software for incident management, operations management. So, Lloyd, it's great to have you together with us. If you could give a short introduction, because you have a very rich background. You worked 17 years in specialist police service, and you've also got a national bravery award. So, yeah, give us a brief introduction.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Anu, thank you very much for having me. Like you said, my name is Lloyd, and I founded the Halo Solutions business. I think on paper back in November 2014, but really started trading with the software around 2018, based on my experiences as a police officer in the National Counter-Terrorism Unit. I was a tactical support officer in there. And between 2016 and 2019, there were lots of terror attacks in Britain, unfortunately. And one of the things which really stood out was the Manchester Arena bombing and the flow of communication when people were trying to help. So the idea was to invent some software that would make that easier. So that's our mission. That's me. That's what we've done and why we've done it. You're very kind to pick out the National Bravery Award. There was, yes, I was. I have got one of those. Thank you. Not something we normally talk about, but there were some circumstances where I was driving home with the family from a Christmas party, and somebody very tragically tried to end their life by throwing themselves over a bridge. So I pulled over really to help, and I think in hindsight would have probably spoke to them and told them some jokes and waited for somebody to turn up and help out, and sadly they jumped, and I was close enough to grab them, and I went over with them, but was fat enough and bold enough and stupid enough to anchor him, and we didn't both hit the carriageway underneath, and was dangling there for a bit, and pulled him back, and then he got the help he needed when the on-duty officers arrived. So it was it was a scary moment, one of, like any police officer, one of many during a good career. So that was what happened there.
Wow, that's quite a story. I was just getting goosebumps listening to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are a hero, Lloyd. That's
uh,
really good to know.
yeah, no, right place, right time. And I think, do you know what, that I'd credit, we had a great chief superintendent called Sean Beebe, and he's always summed it up well for me. He was coming to a separate awards ceremony that we happened to be at early in my career, and he gave a great speech, which was that he'd arrived slightly dishevelled, and as a senior leader, felt that he should account for that when he stood up to give his presentation, and he'd actually helped somebody on his way to the ceremony, and he said that you should, when called upon, always step up.
Yes.
And that's stuck with me for a long time, and you can see that even with the tragic events of the London bridge attack, and also the Westminster bridge attack, and the tragic death of Keith Palmer, and the police officers that were leaving the awards ceremony that were a part of that on the bridge. I think whether you're a police officer or not, or a paramedic, or a member of the public, anybody in the emergency services, when called upon to step up to help, should. And that just makes the world a better place. So no, nothing special about me, no, here. It's just that's what everybody should do, and there happens to be a framework in place to say thank you when we did it. But that was all it was.
Definitely. That's such a great message to everyone who's listening and watching this. Thank you for that. So moving on, I was looking up at your company, and you have a great mission statement. And you say that we are transforming the way software is used for public safety to make everywhere as safe as possible for every person in the world. So that
Yeah,
really stuck with me. Everywhere as safe as possible for every person in the world. Tell
yeah.
us more about that.
It's bold, it's ambitious, but it's deliverable. It is a smart objective, and For people who use that acronym, they'll be familiar with it. For those who aren't, it's this idea of providing a framework for an idea so that it becomes a plan and you can deliver against it. So things should be specific and measurable.
Yeah.
You should make sure they're achievable and they're realistic and do it within a
Smart
timescale.
goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are taking this idea of software and that it shouldn't just sit in a control room and help the people who work in a certain place. It should be accessible for everybody in that space. So we've just launched, about 12 months ago now, a public reporting feature. Because again, when you go back to that Manchester Arena bombing, a short while before the device detonated, 10 or 15 minutes, I can't remember now, but there was a parent who saw the bomber and felt like he was out of place and there was something strange about him. And he approached a steward to tell that steward, and the steward told a supervisor, and the information didn't make it into the control room in time. They were going through the process. It's not a criticism of the people who were there in any way. It's a recognition of what if that member of the public could have told us directly. And since launching that feature, well over nearly 1,000 events across the 26 clients who have turned it on, they've given their fans a voice, they've given the public a voice, and the public have used it nearly 700 times in the last 12 months to ask for help. And they've asked for help on really important subject matters. We've had women who have been attacked and set on fire and threatened with rape, who have then got support from the people around her, put the fire out and couldn't find a yellow jacket, and so reported it through the mobile app and got help. We've had people who have overheard racist chanting, homophobic chanting, and they've felt the fear of reprisals. So they haven't walked up to the yellow jacket, who is only 2 meters away. They've discreetly done it on the mobile phone, told the control room. They've sent plainclothes resources to go and listen, and then they've been able to make arrests. And 4 arrests have been made that we know of. There's probably more. Drug dealers, people for sexual or indecent assault, as well as people doing the offensive or abusive chanting. And it's really important. And I think that we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg. And if we can, as a society, we engage with software everywhere, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns, the Twitters or X platform, Instagram. So we're happy as a society engaging to talk about ourselves. What about engaging to help others? What about engaging to, and the proof is there. People will use it and they will help if you give them a chance. So if you're not listening to your audience, what are you missing out on? Because it has been shown to be a bomb. So let's listen, let's turn it on, let's see what's happening.
Yeah, that's a great cause, and what a great business with a purpose. You mentioned that they can just contact on their app. So for the listeners out there, if someone wanted to use your service, is it as simple as just download an app? How does it work?
It can be that simple. There's a lot of research that shows there's app fatigue actually after 15, 20 years of being able to download apps. So what's more commonplace is it'll be client-led. So the public will find themselves in a location that has this service. And so there might be a poster on the wall for something to scan. There might be a connection to that location's own mobile app. So not really many people at the public level will have heard of Halo, but if they're stood inside, for example, a sports stadium, and that stadium has its own app because that's where they got the ticket from, that's where they want to contact people, there'll be a report incident button inside that app. As well as we can do some very clever things with iBeacons, and we can push links out to people when they're in a certain space or if a certain incident type occurs. So through the introduction of RFID, NFC tags, you can scan things, you can scan QR codes, you can have things pushed to you, but it's really client-led rather than public-led.
Okay, no, thank you. That clarifies. So most of our listeners are business owners. And whilst you've been doing this great cause, business with a purpose, your company has also been growing. So you started in 2014 and almost 9 years fast forward, you have grown. What would you attribute your growth to?
So I think for those business leaders, it's probably worth when I founded the business in 2014, it was as part of a business case or business authority whilst working as a police officer. So there was an outlet for me to do some consulting. I think actually it's correct to measure Halo in terms of the 5 years from 2018, and I'd say that we've benefited from reaching that 4% of SMEs which have survived that first 5 years. We're in year 6, and we employ more than 10 people, and we turn over more than £1 million ARR. So the journey to that 4% has been really exciting, but also with lots of things to learn, because we are growing against the backdrop of COVID. In Britain, that was only just off the backdrop of Brexit. And so there's been some very challenging circumstances for launching a business in Britain. And I think attributed to the growth has got to be that daily passion that you bring to the role. If you're not passionate about what you're doing and you're not giving that off internally as part of the culture, then that's not going to resonate with clients. It's not going to resonate with your team members and colleagues, and you'll be on a downward spiral. Whereas everybody at Halo is really happy that they're making a difference in the world. They can see that the product is meaningful. They're engaged internally in the mission. They share in the vision. It's really happy. We're going to see clients who deliver joyful things in the world. They are the creators of fantastic things, the best shows, the best sports, the best live entertainment. We've got clients who do the biggest things in Britain: Notting Hill Carnival, Glastonbury, the Silverstone Grand Prix, the Eurovision, and they're in charge of that. That's their baby, that's their business, and we're a small cog in that machine that provide a nice service and some great safety software. And it's just nice to be surrounded by positivity, compared to perhaps my previous life in the police, where it can be a very different culture.
Yeah, thank you. A small cog, but a very useful and unique cog.
Yeah.
Okay. You clearly have a great vision. We talked about your mission statement. You just talked about your culture. And before we were just starting the call, you were sharing how you have structured meetings,
Yeah.
regularly. So over the years, what have been your learnings as an employer that you would like to share with other business owners?
So one of the most motivated and professional people I've had the chance to come across, albeit briefly, but the lessons have a long-lasting impact, would be a Serena Humphrey, who is she set up her own business in the F word, and she sat me down many years ago and just basically described that a mission without a plan is just a dream.
Yeah.
And so that actually take that long-term view now over the next 5 years, work out that is 15 quarters, no, 20 quarters, 4 times 5, and then work out from there where you want to be, divide that by 20 and track it all the way back. And you can really clearly have a focused plan for what you want to achieve week by week, month by month, quarter by quarter, to achieve that end goal. And actually we've stretched that out over 15 years, and it makes people almost go like, what, you've got a 15-year plan? And you go, well, yeah, because 3 to 5 years it's not clear enough and you can't really deliver what you want to. It's a bit pie in the sky. And there are some Japanese businesses that will have 80 to 100-year business plans. Is not unheard of. So it's only a cultural thing where people in Britain perhaps may have gone to the bank with a 3 or 5 year business plan, and of course you can't forecast sales that well, but you do find at year 6, looking back, that you have achieved what you wanted to, and that you got there in a slightly different way, but it was the focus, the drive, the energy, the effort of the plan that delivered the end result, even though the metrics in the middle may have moved. So yeah, clarity of daily stuff really gives it some structure.
Yeah, very well said. Because goals without a plan is just a wish. And
Yeah,
it's like sitting in a car. If you don't know where you're going around in circles. Whereas you sit in the car and you put the postcode in the sat nav, it takes you there.
yeah,
That's what a plan does in the
yeah.
business. Takes you there. So really well explained. Yeah.
Yeah, and the actual operational impact of that means that, look, we've got a flexible team that work in different time zones, and it suits everybody to kind of come together. The technical team to come together at 9:30 every morning, and they do a stand up. It's in the diary for 30 minutes. Some days it's 3 or 4, some days it's 20. But every day, what are we working on? What are the blockers from yesterday? Let's remove those blockers. Let's keep that momentum going. And then the commercial team do the same thing at 10 a.m. till 10:30. What are you working on today? What did you achieve yesterday? What are the blockers? Who do you need help from? How does it go? And then you can do that every single day. And then by Friday, you look back on what you've achieved. And it also gives our team a real sense of achievement, because otherwise, particularly for some of the team who work from home, you can be sat in one room all week long, not talking to anybody. You don't know what everyone else is doing. You can think that people are doing nothing because you don't see it. You're fighting your email inbox every day, and it can grind you down. Whereas working together, enhancing that culture, sharing the problem, fixing the problem together, is really meaningful. And it means I don't necessarily buy into this water cooler culture, the chats, the having the office space, because you can deliver meaningful things for a global workforce without having to have them all in the same room every day. And it gives them the freedom and the confidence to know that, oh, I want to go to the gym at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not going to be shouted for it because I want some headspace, I want to think, and I don't really need to do anything else until 10 a.m. tomorrow. But by 10 a.m. tomorrow, I need to have done all these things, so people can work what hours they want, and they can work them from anywhere they want. And it's such a breath of fresh air and a much more modern way to treat people.
I'm a huge advocate for that because you're managing people by results, not by the
Yeah,
hours they're putting in.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So, lots of great things on the journey that you're sharing with us. What would you say have been your challenges or current challenges?
I think the main challenges have been twofold. I think the first one was, for me personally, and self-reflection. I think imposter syndrome is a real thing. For a long time, I felt like just a policeman with a good idea, rather than a businessman with a plan with a business, and all the things that I'm able to speak about today. If you'd have interviewed me even a year ago, but certainly 3-4 years ago, this vocabulary wouldn't have been easily accessible for me. Piecing these things together wouldn't have been so straightforward. And I had, perhaps because of my training, this handicapped idea that you need to be an expert in what you do. You can't really learn too much on the job, and because we have specialisms in the police, you're a firearms officer by virtue of the fact you've done a 15-week firearms course. You're a specialist advanced driver by virtue of the fact you've done a 4-week driving course on top of a 3-week one, on top of a 2-week one. So you arrive with these legal definitions of public order tactical advisor, public order trainer. You've got the accreditation, you've got the credibility, and you're ready to go. And then you start a business, having never worked a day in a business before in your life. I joined the police at 18. I worked in a pizza restaurant before that. So you carry that handicap, and it took me a while to shrug that off and realize that, you know what, we're all in that boat, and it's okay to not know what you're doing, and it's okay to learn on the job. So long as you're helping people out, people will help you out. Be open with your problems, share those ideas. You don't have to have all the answers. It's okay. And that's one for me, and I think that's what I've learned. And the business, we didn't have the technical structure that we have now. So the single biggest thing I'd say to anybody who's just starting out or a year or two in, grab some software like HubSpot. I'd highly recommend, and get that sales pipeline nailed, and get that customer journey nailed, the buying cycle nailed, the kind of financial intelligence that you need to base your future decisions on the plan, because we didn't have that. We were running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, making loads of sales. It was a really fast journey. It was really great fun. And the structure came afterwards because we hit the market at the right time with a great product market fit. And we benefit from that now. But I'd have done that much earlier if I'd have known.
Yes, well said, because systems run your business. And I would say your team runs the systems and you lead your team. That's the way to sustainably run your business, really.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Just one last question to wrap up. From all the learnings you've had throughout your journey, what would you do differently if you had to start now?
The what? Yeah, okay. So the one that I would do differently is I'm really focused and have a really good idea of what I want to achieve. I can translate that into the business. And I previously may have had this assumption that other people may do the same. And I think that it's much better to have a plan for people as well.
Yeah.
Not targets so much, but results, and helping them to feel like actually what they're achieving is really incredible and that they are on target, so that they don't feel like they're not achieving anything. So you're supporting the people that are doing really well. And then as a small business, we have had some passengers. They've turned up and done the bare minimum and kind of coasted along. And we need to identify those a bit earlier and deal with those, because this is a really exciting business and we get the privilege of working with some of the world's best brands, and we need the best people to represent us. So it can be difficult to get a job here, and rightly so. And it can be even more difficult to keep a job here, and rightly so, because if we want to be the best in the world out there, that means that we need to always put our best foot forwards. And I'd have identified that a bit earlier.
Well said. So, best in the world, that is the ambition.
Yeah.
And you are achieving by providing safety and fulfilling your mission of making everywhere as safe as possible for every person in the world. And that only happens when you're best in the world.
It's something to shoot for, right? Something to aim for. It's a noble goal, and one that we're all lined up on. And thankfully, our clients aren't just people that buy things from us; they're in partnership with us, and we're all delivering this together. Because I mean, a lot of the system, credit to them, is their ideas and our ideas coming together. It's designed by our clients. It's just built by us. And that information sharing, that collaborative nature, that Halo community, even the way the clients speak to each other and share resources and go and visit each other has been really wonderful. It's one of the best legacies that we've had so far.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your journey, your learnings, which our audience are benefiting from. Great to have you, Lloyd Major. Thank you very much for today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.